Welcome to Fairy Tales -1.
Hello, my wonderful story seekers, and welcome back to our little corner of the cosmos. Settle and get cozy and let the world outside just melt away. Are you ready for an adventure? I thought you might be. The tale I have for you today is a brand new one whispered on the wind from a meadow you've never visited before. It's a story about a little creature with a very big gift and an even bigger heart. The story is called Pip the Flicker and the Night of 1,000 Tangles. In the heart of the whispering meadow where bluebells chimed if you listened closely, and the river giggled over smooth gray stones, lived a creature named Pip. Pip was a flicker. He wasn't made of fur or feathers, but of something like captured starlight and dandelion fluff. His special, wonderful, and sometimes very troublesome gift was that he could be in more than one place at a time. With a gentle shimmer like heat rising from a summer road, Pip could send a little piece of himself, another glowing dandelion fluff Pip, to almost anywhere in the meadow. He could have one flicker of himself listening to the wise old man, Willow, by the riverbank, another helping a ladybug who had tumbled onto her back, and a third tasting the sweet, sweet nectar of a honeysuckle vine, all at the very same moment. You might think this would make Pip the most helpful creature in the entire meadow. And Pip certainly hoped so, but more often than not it made him the most frazzled. You see, being in many places at once meant feeling many things at once. If one Pip flicker was happy tasting, the honeysuckle, and another Pip flicker was sad for the ladybug, and a third was concentrating very hard on the willow's wisdom, all those feelings would swirl inside the main Pip like a mixed-up jar of paints. It was a tangle. For instance, just last Tuesday, Barnaby Badger had lost his favorite reading spectacles. Pip, he'd grumbled, his voice like rocks tumbling downhill. You can be everywhere, find them. Eager to help, Pip had shimmered and sent flickers all over. One flicker zipped under the badger's armchair. Another checked the raspberry patch. A third soared up to check the roof of Barnaby's burrow. But at that exact moment, the flicker in the raspberry patch saw a particularly juicy berry and took a tiny nibble. The sweet taste flooded Pip, making him so happy that the flicker under the armchair did a joyful little flip, accidentally knocking a jar of ink all over Barnaby's new rug. Meanwhile, the flicker on the roof got so distracted by a passing cloud that looked like a dragon that he completely forgot what he was looking for. Pip found the spectacles. They were on Barnaby's head the whole time, but all Barnaby saw was his inky rug. Wrong place, wrong time, wrong everything. He had sighed, and Pip's glow had dimmed with disappointment. This happened all the time. He'd try to catch a falling petal for the mayfly queen and simultaneously knock over a tower of pebbles the beetle children were building. He'd try to warn the squirrels of a coming rainstorm and at the same time accidentally lead a trail of ants right into Mrs. Fieldmouse's pantry. He was everywhere he needed to be, but it always felt like he was also somewhere he shouldn't. His gift felt more like a jumble. The biggest day of the year in the Whispering Meadow was the night of the celestial bloom. On this one night, and this night, only a special flower called the moon petal would unfurl its silvery leaves to greet a single shy star that passed overhead. The pollen from the moon petal ensured the honey for the next year would be extra sweet and the berries extra plump. It was the most important night of the year, and this year there was a very big problem. A grumpy, stubborn puff of a cloud who called himself Nimbus had parked himself right in the sky where the shy star was meant to appear. He refused to move. The entire meadow was in a tizzy. The bees buzzed nervously, the flowers drooped with worry, and Barnaby Badger was grumpier than ever. This was Pip's chance. If he could solve this, the biggest problem of all, then surely everyone would see that his gift was a good thing. He took a deep, shimmering breath. "I can do this," he whispered to himself. "I just need to be organized." He planned it all out. He would send one flicker, the diplomat flicker, up to reason with Nimbus the cloud. He would send another, the mussel flicker, to ask the north wind for a strong puff to help nudge Nimbus along. A third flicker, the lookout, would stay by the moonpetal flower itself to report the very second the star was visible. And a fourth, the brainy flicker, would go to Old Man Willow for any ancient wisdom he might have. It was a perfect plan. What could possibly go wrong? Pip shimmered and his 4 flickers zipped off to their tasks. At first it seemed to be working. The diplomat flicker reached the grumpy cloud. "Excuse me, Mr. Nimbus, sir," it began politely. The mussel flicker found the north wind whistling in the pines. The lookout flicker settled on a leaf beside the tightly furled moon petal. The brainy flicker sat at the roots of Old Man Willow. But then the tangle began. The north wind was a bit of a show-off. "You want a puff?" he boomed at the muscle flicker. "I'll give you a gust," and he blew a mighty gale, not a gentle nudge. The wind was so strong and surprising that it didn't move Nimbus. It just made him angrier and fluffier, spinning him around and making him even bigger. At that exact moment, the diplomat flicker was trying to be charming. "You're so wonderfully fluffy," it was saying. But the sudden violent spin made it dizzy, and it tumbled right through the cloud, tickling him. Nimbus, who was terribly ticklish, let out a great rumble of thunderous laughter, which sounded very much like angry thunder to the creatures below. Down on the ground, the lookout flicker heard the thunder and panicked. It thought a storm was coming. It zipped away from the moon petal to try and warn everyone, but in its haste it flew right into Barnaby Badger's nose. Barnaby, who had just dozed off, woke with a snort and a sneeze so powerful it blew a whole family of ladybugs into a puddle. "Pip," he roared. Meanwhile, the brainy flicker was listening to Old Man Willow's advice. "The solution," the tree whispered slowly, "is not in force, but in harmony." But just as the willow was getting to the important part, Pip felt the tickle from the cloud, the gust of the wind, and the shock of Barnaby's sneeze all at once. The brainy flicker, overwhelmed with 1,000 sensations, just blurted out "blueberries," and then faded away from sheer confusion.
See you again, and do like, share, and subscribe the channel. Fairy Tales.